to my channel. For those of you who have never been here before, my name is Janae and I have a special guest today.
Mama!
This is my mother, and she has been so helpful to me in this whole wedding planning engagement process that I thought she was the perfect person to join us on today's episode of my wedding series, which for those of you who have been following along, you know that I've just finished touring tons of venues. And if you watched my last episode, then you know that we just finished talking about things to know before you go to your venue tour. So this video is going to be 5 questions to ask at your venue tours. And also, if you haven't seen my last video, pause and go watch it so that you're kind of up to speed and you understand where we are coming from. So, number 1
is, do you offer any special discounts if I book today or within the next week? But many of them don't like to serve that up unless you ask.
Yeah, you won't find the answer to that question on their websites because usually those discounts are last minute or they're only for a certain time. So that's a very good question to ask once you're in person at that venue tour.
Because remember, they want you. They need you more than you need them. And if they think that, if I offer her a $500 discount, maybe that might change her mind and she'll come over here. You'll be shocked.
And we found when we were touring my 13 venues that when we asked that question, there was a lot of
pretty much every one of them
that
except
had
the one
an
she
answer.
chose.
But it's perfect.
But it's perfect. So it didn't matter.
So that's definitely a good question to keep in mind, especially if you're wanting to save a little money here and there. You never know unless you ask. Number 2 is,
can I bring in my own vendors? Now, you might think that's a simple question. Many venues say you have to use every person we have a relationship with. So right there, if you watch the first video, the first thing you have to do is get a budget. So if they say you have to use my vendors and you start looking at their price sheets, now you're probably out of the budget, which means you're probably out of that venue.
Yeah, and also asking that question gives the venue an opportunity to say, well, we don't necessarily require you to use our own, but here's our preferred list.
Yes.
So they give you some suggestions, which is great, especially if you have no idea what you want. That's a great way to start finding out local vendors. Moving on to number 3.
Can you tell me everything that is included in my price? Because sometimes you can get nickeled and dimed.
They can be a little sneaky. Don't let them fool you just because it's a beautiful place.
They can. So here are the things that you probably don't think about. Let's go to the fact that you're maybe doing a plated meal. Well, plated or buffet. You're gonna ask the question, well, how much does that run per person? They'll probably give you a range. Well, maybe $30 to $60. I know it's a big range, but they're kind of trying to let you know we have something for everybody's budget. But there's 2 numbers, potentially 3, that are not included in that range. Number 1, they're not including the service fee. Now, why there's a service fee? Because there's servers, and they can be as much as 25% extra per person. Second, tax. Know the tax in the city that you're looking at for your venue. It could be 5.5% up to 11% tax.
Yeah, that was something that was new for me. I didn't know in my city, even the little towns within my big city can have different tax brackets.
Then the third thing is you have to keep in mind too is gratuity. You want to thank people. So now your $30 to $60 range is more like $50 to $80. So just think about that. And you know one of the things you have to ask about that's included? How many hours do you give me at my venue? And you'll be shocked. Most say 4. And you're like,
I'm like, I need
4.
9.
I need 4 hours just to get ready. Janae's venue said, come whenever you want, leave whenever you want.
So
That's the best. But you have to ask those questions. And one thing, you don't really often think about asking if it's included, believe it or not, is the toast. Everybody should get a glass of champagne.
You would think that would be included, right?
Toast. You would think. Not all the time.
Oh, it's an extra $100 if you want it. I'm like,
Really? For a toast? I don't think so.
Number 4.
Do you want to tell everybody number 4? You want me? Is this the Dare I show?
Maybe I'll just leave.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Okay. It's just us. Just us girls. So, number 4. You want to ask them about their amenities. This can be a game changer.
It was for me.
So here are some of the amenities that you don't even think about, but you want to not only talk about them, you want to look at them.
Yes.
Number 1, parking. Not just do you have enough spaces, where do they park? Because if they're parking 5 blocks down the road, because that's where your parking garage is, you need to know that, because you have to kind of tell your guests about parking. And you know what the other thing you have to think about? At some of the hotels, you have to pay to park.
Speaking of those hotel venues, which we saw a couple of
Several of them.
Sometimes the parking lot requires you to walk through the hotel entrance to get to the actual reception or ceremony space. And like, do you want your guests like walking through a lobby where there's
luggage,
strangers
children,
and
check
crying
in.
babies and maybe people in their flip-flops and swimsuits? Like,
Bikinis.
you know, again, you guys might not think about it, might not be a big deal to you, but those were little things that I noticed. Just little details to keep in mind for those of you who are detailed brides out there like myself. And we care about the little things.
You do.
It's all about the
So
little
you
things.
also have to care about, besides parking, bathrooms. You want to
Again,
see them.
something I didn't really think about
She didn't think.
until we were at the venues and
So I said,
these
where are your
conversations came up.
restrooms? Oh, they're down the hall. Make your first left. Go past the 4 ballrooms. You'll see double doors.
Yeah.
Go to the right of the double doors, and then you'll see the restrooms.
Or
Pack a
we just have
sandwich.
1 bathroom. Well, if I have 200 guests,
Yeah, not gonna work.
I don't want people waiting in line for a bathroom. You do that at a theme park, not a wedding.
Not a wedding. You're exactly right. Another question for your amenities. Hi, do you have a space where I can get dressed? And sometimes that answer's not what you expect to hear.
Yes.
They'll say to you, remember where the bathroom was?
That's the bridal suite.
Or they'll say, no, but we have good hotel partners that are about 5 miles down the road. Do you want to be that far away from your wedding venue? Maybe not. Maybe. It's still a question you have to ask. So the final thing too, and you have to think about this if you have grandmas coming. If your venue has stairs, or you have to go upstairs and there's no elevator. Little things like that you don't think about, right? Because you walk in and you go, ooh, venue's so pretty. No one goes, let me see your parking lot and your bathroom. Do you have an elevator? Those things
Right.
just aren't really top of mind. But I guarantee you, once you start looking at it and you start seeing it through the eyes of your guests and or grandma, you'll think differently.
100%.
Now.
Number 5. This was the real game changer.
This was the game changer.
For me when I was venue shopping.
The last question you should say to them is there anything I'm not allowed to do or bring in? So sometimes they might say, well, you can't bring in sparklers because we don't carry the insurance for sparklers.
Or we don't allow open flames,
No.
so no candles either.
And one of the ones we got, they said you can't bring in any silk flowers. I thought that's bizarre.
Which venue was that?
That was the one that we were going to put the rose petals down. The one that had the venue at the archway at the very back. It was outside, off the right hand side to like the golf course. The woman who showed us had her daughter that was in the concession stand.
Oh, yes. There were
you
so
go.
many, it's hard to keep
So
track.
many. Some of them said we have a curfew and everybody must be out by 10 p.m., which means you're leaving at 9, I guess, or you're ending at 9 so you can all be out by 10.
Sometimes they even had like noise restrictions.
Yeah.
You know, if they're close to neighborhoods
your DJ,
or a street
we have
nearby.
to talk to your DJ. Or because we're in a hotel and there's rooms above us.
Yeah.
Interesting we start asking the question, but I loved it because the
Thank
one
goodness we asked.
thing that meant a lot to Janae that she was talking about from day one. And she got told no by many venues.
Let's just say I have multiple surprises planned.
Multiple.
But there's one specific surprise that requires me to ask this question. Do you have restrictions? Can I bring in something of my own from somewhere else? Hint, hint. And at this one particular venue, which I really started to love as I was walking through it, I got to this last question and she was like, oh, no. And I'm like, oh, goodbye.
One question, one no.
Changed it all.
One gotta go. So those are the big 5 questions you have to ask while you're there. Recap, Janae.
Yeah. Number 1. Do you offer any special discounts because of the time of year or the day that I want to get married or the season?
Number 2, can I bring in my own vendors or do you have some that I can use?
Number 3.
Can you tell me everything that's included in the price?
And number 4, what are the amenities as far as where's your parking lot? Do you got valet? Am I gonna be able to get ready here?
Can Grandma walk upstairs?
How many bathrooms you got?
And number 5,
And lastly,
what are your restrictions?
can I bring in that? What about that thing?
Can I call
really
this
want to
person?
do this.
Can I have this? What? I can't?
You're gonna tell me no? I'm the bride.
Gotta go.
Gotta go. If you guys really want us to make another video on this, giving you more details about the questions we asked or my personal venue shopping experience, give this video a thumbs up or comment down below. Let me know what other questions you guys got. I think we covered it.
I think we're done.
Thank you, Mother,
Thanks. You're
for
welcome.
joining us as always. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And on that note, I will see you in my next video.
Peace out.